'Cause baby, you gotta do you. You gotta do you. Hi, my name is Ruth. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If by chance you have never been here before, I post videos on most Tuesdays talking about whatever I want. I have two series, and one is a film and TV series recommendation series, and I have a playlist of that on my channel. And the other is a clothing upcycling and DIY type vibe thing, and that's on another playlist on my channel. And then sometimes I do the random video like a vlog, or in a very special case, a music video reaction. So if any of that stuff interests you, you can subscribe if you would like to. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. A very large chunk of all of our lives is social media. For some people. Other people have a very healthy relationship with social media. Some people don't even really go on their social media. I'm not, and I was not one of those people ever. I was always on social media. There were days where the hours would pass me by and I didn't even know. I would spend so much time scrolling. I had the shortest attention span and I literally could not focus on anything for more than a few minutes. I was shrouded in darkness and fear and anxiety all the time, and I suffered for a very long time with my mental health. And I think that this video is just something that I would have wanted to see. If you've been scrolling on social media for hours, the days are just passing you by without even noticing. You're constantly shrouded in darkness and fear and anxiety. I think that it's time for you to seek light, and that's what I've been doing this past week. I was on a fast. I was on a spiritual fast this past week, and there were so many things that I realized, and so many things that just became very clear to me. And one of those things was the fact that I, in many situations, refused to seek light even when I needed it. And I don't think that I was doing it intentionally. It was just because that was the way that I thought was the best to cope, or I didn't know how to bring things out of me, how to purge the sadness. I thought it was normal to sit with this darkness and the sadness inside me because the world is a dark and a sad place. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm constantly consuming media, and a lot of the time is very sad things, and I'm not by any means saying that if you're an activist, you should stop being an activist, or that you should stop posting about things that are going on in the world, because it's very important that we have that corner of social media where we are spreading information about things that are going on in the world. I just think that for me, I was in a place where I was constantly consuming all of this media, and I was being an activist, and I was trying to repost and do as much as I could all the time, and all of the sad and bad news that I would consume immediately just went to the darkest corners of my mind and my spirit and sort of just festered there and contributed a lot to my sadness and the depression that I felt and the anxiety, and I just didn't know how to deal with it in a healthy manner. A lot of the time it was very much, okay, well, let's sign this petition and get angry and post and comment and do as much as I can and feel really sad about this and let it sit in my soul. And then I would distract myself during my fast. And I'm definitely not going to say that this fast completely cured me of all darkness I will ever feel in my life, and the light of Jesus Christ is so prevalent. I mean, the light of Jesus Christ is prevalent, but I'm still gonna deal with issues in the future, obviously. I'm just saying that this fast gave me a lot of clarity on how to better deal in terms of healing and in terms of emotions. I had hit a really, really low point where I was watching this video on YouTube. I can't even remember what it was about, but it was about some Christian YouTuber who actually turned out to be a really horrible person, and they were like, I don't know, I think it's called a red pill someone, and they were spreading a whole bunch of hate, and I was watching videos about a whole bunch of hate and bad things that were going on in the world, and it was just a lot. And I had all of this stuff building up in me, all of this emotional stuff building up on me, and all of the things that I had been consuming were just building up. And I think that was the tipping point where I was like, it feels like there is no light in this world. Everything is dark. Everything about me and everything in me was shrouded in this darkness, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't know how to purge it because distractions weren't solely enough. And then my dad came in and he was like, hey girl, what's wrong with you? And I explained to him why I was feeling so sad and all of the things going on in the world, and how I just felt like there was no light whatsoever, and it was just darkness, and it was really, really difficult to deal with, because it's like, how am I supposed to function in this world right now when it's like this? And like, it feels like everything I do is not enough. And he was just like, of course there's darkness. This is the world. This is how it works. Unfortunately, there's always going to be so much darkness, and the important thing is not to let yourself be consumed by the darkness, but to bring that darkness to the light, and to feed your mind with more positive things, and to purge all the darkness and to really deal with it instead of just sitting on it. And I feel like this is not a big revelation. Like, there are probably people that are like, yes, duh. But for me, this was a huge thing. I was like, oh, I don't have to deal with this alone? Interesting. And so after my dad left, I decided to bring things to the light in the best way that I knew how, and in the way that my father advised me, and that was by prayer. From a spiritual aspect, as a spiritual person, prayer is a very big part of my life, and bringing things to the light of God and to the light of Jesus Christ and praying through the Spirit really helped me get... Like, it really helped me, bring things that were in the darkness of my mind and my spirit, and really bring that stuff to light. And praying about it praying about it really alleviated the pressure and the darkness that I felt off of me, because I was like, oh, once I've brought this to the light, I can trust in God to deal with whatever it is that is going on right now. I don't have to sit with this and let it fester. I bring it to the light, and I feel like that is part of doing your part in things. Yes, there's activism, and yes, there's petitions, but as a spiritual person, there also has to be a petition and activism in the spiritual world, and how I do that is by praying and interceding on people's behalf, like Christ does for us. And that's not the only way that I sort of learned how to deal with the emotions that I was having. I have this theory with diarising, that once you put something on the page, it stays there, and it has a lot less control and a lot less power over me. I really found it helpful that once I could purge it and put it on the page, it was the page's to deal with and not my own. I diarized, and then I would get up and I would stay away from social media, which I have found is my main source of information for any and everything. As much as I felt out of the loop, I kind of also felt very, very present, because then it was all focused on, okay, Ruth, what are you going to do today with your day and all of these hours before you go to bed? And I had to find things to do that made me present, that was feeding my mind, that was engaging, that was interesting, and that was, I hope, making me become a better person. I think, and I hope. Distractions, I don't want to necessarily call them distractions, but if you feel a darkness, and instead of I don't know what else to call it besides darkness, a sadness, a madness, an angriness, whatever negative, because not emotions aren't necessarily negative. Emotions are always just there to tell you what's up and what's going on. So, I mean, some emotions are a little bit harder to deal with and are a little sadder, and those are the more negative emotions. And so, when negative emotions come, is the first thing you do distract yourself, which is what I do. It's not a bad thing to distract yourself. You go to comfort YouTubers, comfort movies, comfort characters, comfort books, whatever makes you feel most comfortable and makes you feel most happy is what you do, and you kind of just distract yourself from whatever's going on. And that's not a bad thing. However, there's only so much distracting you can do before it all builds up and it has to come out. And that's what I found. So I think it's best to try and map out how you're feeling and what's going on and why you're feeling this way, etc., etc. And after you sort of put that on the page, after you've purged that, after you've dealt with that, after you've grounded yourself spiritually, prayed about it, amen, Jesus, then you can go on to finding a better way to go on with your day so that you don't stay in the negative emotion. You can come out of that and you can free yourself of that burden. So you go to the comfort YouTubers, you know what I mean? So I feel like there are steps that you have to take before just moving on to distraction and ignoring whatever is going on in your mind. Sometimes mapping it out can be difficult because it leads to other things and other unresolved traumas or whatever that's going on in the back of your mind, and you don't always have to deal with it at that specific moment. It's good to map it out, but if you're feeling like it's too much, it's okay to stop there. It doesn't make you weak or bad for not being able to handle whatever has come up in that moment. It's good to recognize that this is something really stressful that you can and will and should deal with in the future, but right now that's not something you want to deal with. You can slow down, bring it to a pause, cry about it if you need to, and then I sort of stop diarising. I move on to other things in my life that are going on and not just the darkness. It's weird because I'm telling you to deal with the emotions, and then I'm like, if it gets too much, you don't have to deal with the emotions. But I feel like there's a balance, and I hope you understand what I am trying to convey to you. Another big thing and a big factor is having a support system and a support structure. And that doesn't necessarily need to be your family or your immediate family at all. If you feel that there are things that you have not spoken to your parents about, or your sister, your brother, whoever in your family, because for me, I didn't think that I could open up to anyone in my family until one day I was at a breaking point and I was like, hey, hello, sad, let's talk. And when I brought them into my situation, they became aware of it and became much more supportive and helpful, and they became a familial support structure. And for some people, I think that I would encourage you to try, but you all know your situations individually, so I'm not going to be like, talk to your parents, talk to your brothers and sisters, because I don't know your specific situation. There is a support structure in your friendships and your friends, and there are people that you can speak to. Make sure that you have friends and people that you can speak to or try to speak to. Sometimes there are just people that you see on social media, and seeing them talk about different issues that you may be dealing with is helpful for you and therapeutic for you and a support structure for you in that way. So I encourage you to seek out people like that. For me, I found a lot of comfort and support in listening to podcasts, because there are lots of different people who have gone through what I am going through or who deal with what I'm dealing with and talk about healing and how to get through that, and really the process of how things can be difficult in life. And it's been really, really helpful to have that. It feels like a support system, even though it's not as direct. It's parasocial. And see, here's one thing that I don't encourage. This is what I used to do when I would distract myself and try to make myself feel better. I would go on YouTube and like seek out, like, this is embarrassing, but I don't care anymore. I would seek out like tea channels and things like that just to see what's going on in the world, just to see what people are going through. Because I thought that that would make me feel better. But it didn't. It didn't help me. It really actually just added to my sadness, and it made me feel malicious. Because I wasn't doing it to keep up with the drama, keep up with the tubes. Like, I wouldn't recommend looking at people that make you angry, people that you don't like, people that you feel jealous of, people I don't recommend it. People that you know you're going to criticize, because we all have that part of ourselves. Maybe you're a really, really good person and you don't have that part of yourself at all that is at any point malicious or kind of mean or self-serving in any way. And if that's you, hello, Jesus Christ, thank you for watching my video. But if you are even the tiniest bit human, you may not know it, but sometimes you seek out people that you know you don't like. And you're like, oh, look at this. Look at what they made. Look at their video. Look at this picture. She's so pretty. Whatever. But you just find yourself being a hater. You just find yourself being a hater. And being in a sad mind space can make you a hater. And that's nothing to be embarrassed of. It's just something to heal from. And so, don't feel bad for taking a break. Don't feel bad for taking care of yourself. Don't feel bad for needing a break. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you have enjoyed it and that it has been helpful to you in any way, shape, form, or size. And I hope that you have a good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever. Bye.